August 18, 1590. Governor John White returned to Roanoke Island after 3 years away. He'd left 117 colonists, including his daughter, his granddaughter. He found empty houses, overgrown fields, and one word carved into a post, Croatoan. No bodies, no graves, no explanation. Subscribe now. This 433-year-old mystery has never been solved. 3 years earlier, July 22, 1587, John White led 117 colonists to Roanoke. Families, not soldiers. Women, children, craftsmen. They came to build England's first permanent American colony. His pregnant daughter Eleanor came. Her husband Ananias. They were hopeful, determined. They had no idea they'd become America's greatest mystery. August 18, 1587. 1 month after arriving, Eleanor gave birth. A girl, Virginia Dare. The first English child born in America. The colony celebrated. Christened her. This baby represented everything. Hope. Future. The colony's success. She was 9 days old when this photo of history froze. She'd be 3 years old when her grandfather returned. He'd never find her. August 27, 1587. 9 days after Virginia's birth. Crisis. They needed supplies desperately. Someone had to return to England. The colonists chose White. He resisted. He didn't want to leave his family, his newborn granddaughter. But they insisted. Only the governor could get what they needed. He promised to return quickly. By spring, he hugged Eleanor, kissed baby Virginia, sailed away. He had no idea it would be 3 years, or that he'd never see them again. White reached England November 1587. Tried to return immediately. Couldn't. England was at war with Spain. The Spanish Armada. Every ship needed for war. No ships for colonies. White tried desperately for 2 years. Begged. Pleaded. Nothing. He was trapped. Knowing his family needed him. Unable to reach them. Imagine that helplessness. 2 years became 3. The war ended. Finally, he could return. August 1590. White finally sailed. The voyage took months. Storms. Delays. Every day was torture. His granddaughter was now 3. She wouldn't remember him. Eleanor had been alone for 3 years. Managing the colony. Raising a toddler. He prayed they'd survived. Prayed they'd forgive him. August 18th. His granddaughter's 3rd birthday. They reached Roanoke. What he found would haunt him forever. The houses stood empty. Doors open. But everything was gone. Deliberately dismantled. Not ransacked. Organized abandonment. Furniture moved. Tools taken. This wasn't an attack. They left on purpose. Carefully. But why? And where? White searched every building. Called their names. Silence. Then he saw it. The palisade fence. Something carved into the post. He walked closer. Croatoan. White remembered. Before he left, they'd agreed. If the colonists moved, they'd carve their destination. If they were in danger, they'd carve a Maltese cross above it. White examined Croatoan. No cross. They weren't in danger. They chose to leave. He found another carving on a tree. Crow. Unfinished. Or a second confirmation. Either way. The message was clear. They'd gone to Croatoan Island. Mantio's home. They'd be safe there. White just had to reach them. White rushed to the ships. They'd sail immediately to Croatoan Island, 50 miles south. 1 day's journey. They'd be reunited tomorrow. He packed quickly. Gave orders. Anchor raised. Then. Storm. Hurricane force. Ships nearly capsized. They fought the wind for hours. Lost anchors. Lost supplies. Finally, the captain made a decision. They couldn't reach Croatoan. Too dangerous. They had to return to England. White begged. They refused. He never saw Roanoke again. White tried again. 1593, 3 years later. Now 56. Gray. Worn. Desperate. He funded a private voyage. Everything he had. They sailed. Reached the Caribbean. Then. The captain refused to continue. White couldn't pay enough. They turned back. White gave up. Broken. He'd never find them. He retired to Ireland. Wrote about the colony. Drew maps. Tried to explain what happened. He died 1606. Never knowing their fate. His last journal entry, "I commend them to God." That was all he could do. What happened to the 117? Theory 1, they went to Croatoan Island. Integrated with Mantio's tribe. Evidence supports this. Croatoan descendants today have European DNA. Gray eyes. Blonde hair. Family names matching colonists. Dare. Cooper. Several tribes claim Roanoke ancestry. The word Croatoan meant something. But why did no one ever report finding them? If they integrated, someone should have seen English people living with Croatoans. No one did. Or no one recorded it? Theory 2, the Spanish killed them. Spain claimed this territory. Hated English colonists. Spanish documents mention destroying a Chesapeake Bay colony around 1590. Could have been Roanoke. The colonists might have moved north. Spanish found them. Killed everyone. But no mass grave ever found. No Spanish records specifically mention Roanoke. And why would colonists carve Croatoan if fleeing Spanish? Unless it was misdirection. To hide their real destination from enemies. Theory 3, drought killed them. Tree ring analysis shows brutal drought 1587 to 1589. Worst in 800 years. Crops failed. Starvation. They dispersed. Split into small groups. Sought food and shelter with different tribes. Small groups assimilated separately. This explains why no one found 117 English people together. They weren't together anymore. Archaeological evidence shows colonist artifacts at multiple native sites. They scattered. Survived by separating. Became part of different communities. Lost their identity. Became native. Forgotten. Modern archaeology found clues. At Hatteras Island, Old Croatoan. English artifacts. Signet ring. Sword hilt. Mixed with native items. At Salmon Creek, mainland. Colonist artifacts in native village. Borderware pottery. English. Gun parts. Writing slate. The colonists were definitely there. But when? And for how long? And what happened after? The artifacts prove they survived the immediate years. But not what ultimately happened to them. Or their children. Or Virginia Dare. Native tribes remember. The Lumbee. The Hatteras. Oral histories passed down. Stories of white people who came to live with us. Of marriages. Of children. Of integration. The Lumbee tribe of North Carolina has genealogies showing Roanoke surnames. Dare. Cooper. Families kept these names for 400 years. Why? To remember where they came from. DNA testing confirms European ancestry in these tribes dating to the 1500s. The colonists didn't vanish. They merged. Became part of something older. Larger. They stopped being English. Became American. Literally. Virginia Dare. The first English child in America. What happened to her? If the integration theory is correct, she grew up Croatoan. Learned their language. Their ways. Married. Had children. Her descendants could be alive today. Not knowing their ancestor was history's most famous missing child. Or the darker theories. She died as a toddler. Disease. Starvation. Attack. We'll never know. She became a legend. Folklore. A ghost. The mystery girl who represented everything America could have been. And everything it lost. 1937 A stone found. Carved message. Supposedly from Eleanor Dare. Describing attacks. Deaths. Begging her father to find her. Then more stones appeared. 48 stones total. Describing the colony's journey. Their suffering. Experts declared them forgeries. The language was wrong. The story didn't match evidence. Someone created an elaborate hoax. Playing on America's obsession with the lost colony. Why? Money. Fame. Cruelty. The hoax showed how desperately people wanted answers. Even fake ones. Even lies felt better than not knowing. The search never stopped. Archaeologists still dig. Historians still debate. DNA testing continues. Ground-penetrating radar scans old sites. In 2020, new evidence. Artifacts at 2 locations matching colonist descriptions. The puzzle slowly assembling. Each find answers one question. Creates 10 more. We're closer than ever. But still no complete answer. No bodies. No definitive proof of any single theory. Just pieces. Fragments. Clues that might mean everything. Or nothing. The lost colony remains lost. Even as we find them. Piece by piece. The lost colony became American mythology. Books. Plays. Theories. Conspiracies. Every generation reimagines it. Projects their fears onto it. Supernatural explanations. Alien abductions. Time travel. Ridiculous. But showing how much the mystery matters. It's America's original unsolved case. The first disappearance. It proves something terrifying. People can vanish. Completely. Even 117 people. Even with Croatoan carved as a clue. Even with searchers who desperately wanted to find them. Some mysteries stay mysteries. Some lost stay lost. And that frightens us. Deeply. 117 people. Families. Children. Baby Virginia. They vanished. They left one word, Croatoan. That word was a door. Not a tomb. It said we went here. Not we died here. John White never opened that door. The storm stopped him. History stopped him. He died wondering. The colonists probably survived. Integrated. Merged. Stopped being English. Started being something new. American. Truly American. Mixed. Blended. Changed by this land. The lost colony wasn't lost. It was transformed. That's scarier somehow. They didn't die. They became something else. Became part of something we can't fully document. Can't fully prove. Can't fully find. Eleanor Dare probably lived. Had more children. Died old. On Croatoan Island. Or Chesapeake. Or somewhere. Never knowing her father surged. Never knowing she'd become a mystery. Virginia Dare probably grew up. Forgot England. Learned Croatoan. Lived. Died. Had descendants walking around today. Not knowing. The tragedy isn't that they died. It's that they lived. And were forgotten anyway. History forgot them the moment they became indigenous. The moment they stopped being English. They stopped mattering. That's the real loss. Not bodies. But memory. They're not lost. We are. We lost the ability to see survival that doesn't look like we expect. Croatoan was the answer. But we kept calling it a mystery. Because the real answer, that English colonists became Native Americans, was too complicated. Too uncomfortable. Too true. Like this video if unsolved mysteries haunt you. Subscribe for more history that questions everything. Is that tragedy or triumph? Because I think it's both. And that's what makes it unforgettable.